Do you believe in ghosts?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's a yes and that's a no.
Yeah.
I'll tell you where I'm wearing them when I say, oh hell no! In a sort of quasi-racist way.
But then that comes down to multiverse. That comes down to
The multiverse?
The multiverse.
Oh, you went to see Spider-Man and all of a sudden
that-
it's the fucking multiverse.
You have no idea. This is the thing. You've got no idea what life's about. You've got no idea what this planet's about. You've got no idea what the universe is about. We talked about this last night. No idea what the universe is about. You've got no idea what the universe is. You've got no idea what anything is really when it comes to anything outside your little bubble.
No, but all you can
I
do
don't
is...
know if ghosts are ghosts or if ghosts are apparitions of a life from a time before. Because what's time? Time isn't solid. Time isn't. If you go into the universe, time doesn't exist. I don't know whether I do believe in ghosts, but I don't know if I would call them ghosts. I believe in apparitions. There have been apparitions in places where they shouldn't be, and I don't know whether it's a veil between here and another world or whether it's.
Have you ever read a book called The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat Stand by Oliver Sacks?
Oh no. No,
he's,
I know of it.
He's a neurologist.
Yeah.
It might not be Oliver Sacks. I think
Brainy
it is. I maybe
bastard.
get mixed up with Andrew Sachs who played Manuel in Fawlty Towers, but I think it's Oliver Sacks.
Mr. Vorti!
Yeah, it's like
Oh, Mr. Vorti!
just ignore him. He's a neuroscientist. He talks about. I mean, there's things that it was quite staggering in his career as a neuroscientist or neurologist. There was a guy whose sense of proprioception was mixed up. Now, I didn't know what proprioception was until I read this book. It's your body's sense of itself, your body being anchored on the sort of physical plane. And there was a guy, he was disconnected from his body because of a brain fault, and he looked down at his legs in the hospital bed. He's like, what the fuck are these? He didn't think they were his legs. He's like, what the fuck are these doing here? And he picked them up and threw them away, and of course, he threw himself onto the floor, and then he was shocked. He was like, what the fuck? There was people that went to a sort of bestial state. There were people that they had a brain injury and they could perceive like music as colours. Like
There are people like that.
You get some people that see auras, and you get people with unbelievable, like mostly on the spectrum, unbelievable power of doing calculations. What was it? Where senses get mixed up in the brain. You can like see smells and all sorts of things, and you think, why don't you consider that kind of malfunction or neurodiversions as a possibility before you go, oh yeah, it's ghosts, it's definitely ghosts, it's the supernatural. Like you count my auntie's cousin's girlfriend's best friend's cousins says he saw a ghost at the bottom of the bed. That's good enough for me.
To flip it around,
That's it.
These people who've got brain injuries and brain problems and mental illnesses, have you ever considered that maybe they might be having some kind of spiritual awakening or some kind of spiritual...
Do you know what? Can I just shock you?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
That
No,
really
but obviously I
surprises me.
consider it as a possibility,
No,
but it's all about evidence and possibility. You think, but
the evidence for
there
spirituality
is
is
evidence.
gone. It's gone.
There is evidence.
We were taught by the church that it was wrong. Any spiritualism that burn them, the fucking witches! Anything that was spiritual, the church couldn't make money off of it, so we were all told that we were bad and we'd be burnt at the stake if anybody used any part of their spiritual self other than what the church told us. The church told us what we had to believe, and if we didn't believe that, we're going to be burnt.
Yeah, well, that of course they did. But can I say something about spiritualism here? Spiritualism as a movement only really came about around about the time of the Great War, and to be honest, the two sisters that are credited with starting it off were hoaxsters. Hucksters.
Spiritualism by what name, though? Do you know
No,
what I mean?
but listen,
by
listen,
the
listen.
term.
No, by the term, but spiritualism, and as in when you go to a spiritualist church, and it's like mediumship and things like that, right?
That's not spiritualism.
But there was an aborted documentary that I was working on with someone, and we actually went to Glasgow Uni and spoke to a social psychologist about that kind of thing. He's like, it's not my forte, but I can talk on it, and he had a very interesting perspective.
I'm sure he did. He gets paid a wage to do it.
He didn't get paid a wage to speak to us, though. He could have told us.
No, but he gets
to fuck
paid
off.
a wage to have that opinion. If
Yeah,
it wasn't
but
for
he
that
studied
opinion,
it first.
if it wasn't for that opinion, he wouldn't have a job at the end of it. So it's true.
Yeah, but he's followed it, of course, but he doesn't. He's not in it for the
So
money.
if I studied spiritualism and then spoke to you about that I'm less credible than he is because his is a science.
Well, of course.
Why?
Because he's put fucking effort into studying things and
I could
using
put
his...
effort into studying esoteric.
I could put effort
occult
into studying how to defraud people out of millions of pounds. It doesn't mean that my...
Well,
But anyway,
you'd be
listen.
a very credible defrauder.
You would be a very
Yeah.
credible defrauder. We
Yeah.
would say,
Take
well,
your
this
opinion.
man knows how to defraud people.
Well, you've just proved my point. You're right, I would be very credible, even though I'm making money out of it.
Yeah.
Thank you and good night. So, but wait, here's the point I'm making, right?
Wait, don't
Like,
speak.
Here's the point that this guy was making. He said that spiritualism exploded during the time of the Great War because that was the greatest, most significant period of mass death for humanity, on a man-made wise, and take out natural disasters. Sons were going to their graves because women might have died as a consequence of the First World War, but they weren't out in the front lines. But unimaginable millions of people, because war was mechanized and blah blah blah. The scale of mass industrial death was staggering, and it connects in with something I've always thought. Why are mediums always either women or very camp gay men? Like,
I don't
maybe-
believe in all that shit.
No, but there is something to be said. There's a powerful connection between belief in people not dying and coming back as ghosts or somehow being intact, and the greatest period of mass extermination that this planet had ever seen.
Yeah.
You know, because women, I'm not a woman, you've probably noticed, despite the pink hoodie, women have an intimate connection to life because they bring life into this world. I can't pretend to even know what that's like to harbour life and carry the sort of...
Can't remember.
You can't remember? That's the heroin.
I'm joking. I'm
but-
joking.
I have a rabbit, so I know what it's like.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
Of course you do. And you know what childbirth's like? If you've ever gone for a particularly gnarly shit,
I
it's
had
exactly
one
the
today.
same.
It was heinous.
You okay, bro?
I'm alright now. I'm
You
alright
put that
now.
in your grandmother's toilet.
I took the thing away.
Oh, you took the
Yeah, I didn't use
the
that.
commode away.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
Thank you.
But you know what I mean? It makes sense, because when a woman carries a life, when you create life with the knowledge that you could be the best mother in the world, you could protect them, eventually that baby will die. And that is a tremendous burden to carry, so it's not surprising that the human mind, especially the maternal mind, is going to say, I'm bringing this baby into the world just to die one day? Holy shit, I'm culpable, I feel guilty. What if there was a lovely afterlife where everyone, what if we all got to see each other again? I can understand it.
you totally go. That's not. I totally agree. That's a load of bullshit. That's just another religion. Mediums and all the rest of it. That is just the same as what the church does.
No, because I think
Pray
religions...
to me and I'll make things better.
No,
Pray
but
to me and
it's very
you'll be
personal.
alright.
Religions are political.
Yeah, medium
Religion
are
is
one-to-one
politics
messages.
preached from a cloud.
Yeah.
That-
No, I
that's
don't
good.
agree.
I'll say that again because she's talking over me. Religion is politics preached from a cloud.
I'd like to counter that,
Oh.
the whole kind of thing that you've said. Not the
Well,
cloud
good.
thing, that's really good. That's a really good
That
one.
was good, wasn't it?
The-
I repeat.
The idea that women are life bringers, etc., I think is a socialised concept.
Also, you're like, there would be nothing without my cum. That's what
No,
you're saying.
That's
I'm trying to
You're
say, like,
Agent of the patriarchy.
we're talking about how we sent off men to go and die in war
Mm.
because they're socialised to be destructive, and you know they are the soldiers and the guardians and the warriors and all that sort of nonsense, and so they're taught to think that way as like life bringers and so on. And so if spirituality is a feminine thing, it's just a product of that kind of education. You know, if that is what you are supposed to do, then this is how you're supposed to tell people to live. Whereas if you're taught to destroy and to this, that and the other, then you should consider it a nihilistic kind of way of, no, there is nothing, you just have to do this and that's what you're supposed to do.
Which takes you back to one of the points you made in an earlier video when you said about Christopher the doll.
Yeah,
And Christopher
do you know,
and the
I was
Barbie
thinking
dolls
that.
and the machine gun, and he's right.
But how much of it is, you're right, there's a lot of it is learned and propagated and rolled forward, but there must be some aspect of it that's innate. I don't mean like I know a lot of it is social, but where did that social convention come from in the first place? You look at the animal kingdom, the okay, you got lionesses that hunt. You'll
Yeah, I was about to say the lioness is the
you're
king
right.
of prey.
And the
They
black
are the-
widow spider, the female,
Yeah.
will kill the male after copulation. But
The Marxists say it's happened when we started farming, because that was when we had the women would bring up
Strength.
children so that we could have more farmers, and then the farmers would be the boys, because that's, you know,
'Cause
we
the
would have
bigger
the
and the
women
stronger.
making more children, and so they had to become the nurturers because they were having babies, and that's just where they were.
And then you go
the men
back
were in
to-
the field,
but some of that
so
makes
then men held control of the grain, and that's how we've ended up here.
But some of that makes sense. Like, I think, you know, what's the name of that? There is one civilization on Earth that is reasonably uncorrupted by the influence of any other civilization or nation. Although we have sent people to abduct their children
course we
and
have.
grandparents and test them. Where is it? There was a Christian missionary.
So the Inca, or the-
It's somewhere in
Yeah, it was on
Asia
the-
or the Pacific.
Wow.
Do you know, maybe
They sent a
eight-
film crew in there.
Well,
Well,
I've seen about a
they-
tribe that you can't contact because
Because
just
they
kill
would
anyone
die.
who goes now. Yeah.
any of
They
our
don't have
even
any
the cold,
immune
they don't,
system at
yeah,
all.
they haven't built up an immune
Yeah.
system. I think if you, because they said there was a Christian missionary, he was American of
That the one that killed.
Asian heritage. I don't know why that's relevant. It's just because I can picture his face. Oh my God, that sounds racist. I'm not being racist. I'm just being descriptive. You're right. He's a person. He's just a person. Like, but he had that sort of holy hubris and arrogance that a lot of evangelicals have. He's like, I'm going to go onto that fucking island, and if they all get, I mean, the great parable with COVID as well. If they get, they're not going to get diseases because I'm anointed in the light of Jesus, and this is going to save
And
their
they're
lives.
going to love me.
They're going to love me.
gonna
And
love me.
they fucking killed him on the beach.
Yeah, they did.
He was
There's
like, my
videos of
children!
that, apparently, yeah. Yeah, they killed him. And then they sent him back on a boat as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's back in the boat, fuck off!
I don't
Who
think I'm
cares?
enjoying the death of
See
that
ya.
guy, but part of me does actually.
Did they know that they're aware that it could be the death of them, that they have no
Because in
immune
the
system?
70s, I think they captured, they took people forcibly off the island who must have been fucking terrified. It must have been like alien abduction for these people because they know nothing of the outside world, and all of a sudden they're sitting in a Formica kitchen, or with like sort of people in flares can ask her like, "Blah, blah, 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 blah."
Are you feeling groovy?
Oh, dear
I think it
God.
was even sooner than that. I think a film crew had gone in and they'd got sick just from having the film crew however far away, so they decided there was no other outlanders allowed on the island, and this guy was like, yeah, but I'm holy, I'm
think-
protected by Jesus.
But he was told not. In fact, he was commanded not
Yeah.
to. It's illegal for him to have done what he did. But he thought because he was bathed in the light of
He'd
God.
already done time, I think, for doing it, but
I couldn't tell you that.
no, I read it recently, and it was like there was a way that they did it. They were like, he was like, my children, and they were like,
Yeah,
and then they put him in a boat and
yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
exactly.
Bye bye.
How's that for Indiana Jones? You cunt.
Ta-da! Oh dear.
So my point would be, if you could somehow get, oh God, even if you sent drones over the island, they would think they were in the Matrix. It would fuck with their heads. You can't do that. But it would be interesting. That is like the most humans in their most primal, unfettered state. It would be interesting to look at their dynamics. I can understand the urge to study, to look at how much is westernized or learned, not just Western, because all cultures, I mean, in the East you would argue they're a lot more broadly, not individually, but broadly in terms of societies, misogynistic and kind of where we were maybe as a civilization or group of civilizations hundreds of years ago. There's a lot more, obviously the internet is quite, as much as it's quite stifling, it's quite democratizing, the marketplace of ideas, exposing you to
A great
different
leveler.
kind of, it's a great leveler to a point
Yeah.
until the government realizes, or a corporation or a market realizes, oh, that's happened. Oh, we're going to make money out of that, or we're going to turn that on its head and use it to brutally oppress people. But if you could study that society in its primal state, you maybe get a lot of answers about how humans would organize if they don't have any external influences. Because I take your point, a lot of our ideas of gender and gender roles is not set in stone. Like I read somewhere that pink up until about 100 years ago, was seen as a masculine colour,
Yeah.
and blue was feminine. And
Yeah.
now
Right.
we're very rigid now.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh, you're a girl, you're gonna have pink.
It's very odd.
I'm a throwback and a trailblazer, you see. But yeah, you're right. So a lot of it is fluid
Mm.
and bullshit. And I understand to a point the stuff about toxic masculinity, but most men are. But then fuck, are we selectively breeding ourselves? Because you can get cows that are like really thin and quite, or you can breed them specifically to be. Is it just?
What?
And pugs, you know.
What?
Yeah, no. But what I'm saying is, like, I was going to say men are like structurally bigger and more kind of. But is that?
No, I think biologically they are. They're
But then my point, you get Jack Russells and you get Great Danes. They all come from wolves. So maybe the cultural thing forced us down a biodiversity kind of
We
highway.
don't have interspecies diversity the way the dogs do, though. We don't. You know, we don't really do it.
No,
I mean,
we're all the same. Sorry,
but
Chinese
you don't
people.
get
I know she's
the concept
always
of races.
fucking-
No, but you don't get wee tiny people. Sorry.
You do. So you don't like Chinese. You don't like dwarves. Is there anyone you do like?
In some cultures, we're freaks of nature. You know, we're
No, you
quite
know what I
large.
mean, though.
The Japanese
we don't
think
have
we stink of
Chihuahuas to
milk.
Great Danes. We don't have that.
Yeah, you do. Sorry, black basketball players. She obviously has got a problem
No,
with
it's
you
not.
as well. And
No,
midgets.
okay.
I'm so sorry.
Oh my God.
You can't breed dogs with wolves because they're different species, but you can breed
I don't know,
different
Alan. I've
dogs.
seen some videos on the internet.
Send me them later.
Dear God.
But you can breed two different breeds of dogs, and they'll make a crossbreed and make a mongrel.
I mean, it's,
You
we
need a
don't.
brave Chihuahua or a
Yeah, well, interspecies wise, we don't
Very
have
loose chihuahua.
two such extremes, really.
no. It's
We're broadly similar. We do have the
yeah.
odd one, but
Careful.
I'm trying. But broadly speaking, we're all pretty much similar. We're all pretty much the same. We are.
I mean,
Yeah.
people regularly confuse me for Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
They do. I think it's my giant penis.
What?
you get that.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
That's a racial
family
stereotype.
resemblance. That's
Yeah.
Oh, there is. There is.
Yeah.
There is. I feel we should get out of this vortex before it
Possibly.
swallows us whole and gets us kicked
So
off
ghosts.
YouTube. Yes,
Right.
ghosts!
Oh yeah, ghosts. Oh, I give up.
You give up.
I give up.
Is there anything else anyone would like to say about? Are there any other crazy beliefs you would like to raise so that I could try and shoot them down in flames? I'm receptive.
I'm
very-
studying the tarot at the minute.
You're studying tarot.
Yeah, I'm studying tarot. Really interesting.
Tell us more about that.
Well, I can't really because I'm still studying at the minute, but that goes back to ancient Egypt. It goes back to.
I knew you were talking about Thoth.
Well, actually, Thoth, yeah, Hermes Trismegistus, who
Uh-huh.
invented language and
Was
writing.
he the guy that delivered parcels in 2000 BC?
No, that you're mistaking him for the Greek god Hermes, who was the god of speed.
Yeah,
Or was it
no,
the god of
just making a
messages?
joke.
Got him.
I think it was the god
Both.
of speed.
Yeah, got him. Speed
No,
messages.
Hermes thrice great. Hermes Trismegistus.
Is that what it means? Is that the
That
translation?
is the translation.
He was a
um,
bit full of himself, wasn't he?
No, they called him that after he became a god, and they can,
Of course they
if you
did.
become a god,
story.
they can call you whatever.
It's true.
Yeah.
If you become a god, you claim it. Yeah, but he is Thoth or Tahuti.
Tahuti?
He's Egyptian
Tahuti
name.
Fruity.
I believe it's Tahuti. No, apparently he invented the tarot, but not as a divination tool, as a card game.
Oh, really?
So that's where its origins were, and then they found out that the pictures that they put on them, they could divinate with them.
So
And
this,
the cards have meanings. Each card, I mean, there's 4 suits to tarot, the same as there are to 4 cards.
where's the letter, Ali?
I'm holding it.
Is that?
He's that. Roll me a fag then.
Fuck's sake.
My fag's are way down there, and if I go and
We
try and get it, I'm
shouldn't
going to
be-
off the camera.
Encouraging people to smoke
Oh,
by
well,
watching
at least
this.
6 people can make their own minds up.
I don't smoke.
Yeah, but they weren't originally.
It's much better for you.
Smoke cigarettes.
Alan, your uncle and your mother do not care if you get cancer through passive smoking. So, because we know that when you die, you're coming back as a tittied duck. So,
Tipsy.
As I always wanted.
I'm having that tattooed, I'm telling you. That's going in this fucking space right here. Right here, I'm having a duck with tits. Watch this space.
I'm gonna hold you. Listen, I'm gonna get some more fucking beers and gin in you, and we're going to the midnight Asian tattoo parlour tonight.
Yeah, I'll
get
no, a duck with tits.
You get a duck. You get Donald Duck with tits.
Not tits with a duck. A duck with tits.
And I'm gonna get a hermaphrodite Mickey Mouse. What are you gonna get?
I'm sure
good
to
laugh.
use one. Good laugh.
A transsexual Goofy.
Right, enough. That's gone far enough. We're not
Toff.
making fun of Goofy.
Toff.
That's my hero. Toff, aye. Apparently he invented the tarot cards, but
If I've got COVID.
originally they were just playing cards. But then
So it's like someone invented Uno, and then 500
Yeah.
years later they're like, "Oh my god, I can see the fucking."
no, they started
the
drawing
face."
pictures on them because the pictures would tell stories about. You could do divination through the pictures on them. So, well, the
What happened
cards.
to the cigarette I just rolled? Sorry.
Ah, too much. Okay. Well, the cards themselves can mean reasons like the Ace of Wands and the.
Keep your voice up.
The Ace of Wands and means this and I'm not kind of too half cut to remember, but there be pictures on them. Every deck of cards has got different pictures.
Mm-hmm. So every tarot deck is different.
Yeah,
Is that right?
basically,
But
yeah.
is it this?
Same.
So is it a
can't
certain
remember
amount
the-
of cards, but they get divvied up?
There's always 78 cards, 22 major arcanas, and do the maths because I can't be arsed at the minute.
Pardon me.
Your pardon.
Thank you. That's great.
22,
Bless you.
60, 46, 57. 22 major arcanas and the rest are not. Yeah, but every deck of tarot cards is a bit different. So if you,
Okay.
so you first of all, the first thing you have to
Are
do.
you drinking that, or is that an ashtray?
No, I'm drinking that.
What the fuck is the one we were using as an ashtray?
Well, here's an empty one.
Oh, brilliant. Right, okay.
What was I saying?
Something about blah blah blah, 22 decks, arcanas, Uno.
It's all about the wee pictures on the cards, and every deck's different. So it's not just as simple as learning 78 cards. There's a lot more to it. I'm trying to learn the history of it. I'm trying to learn the whole shebang. I don't know. I'm a bit like you. I'm not going to do something by half. I'm not going to pull out a deck of cards and go, right, my love. I want to know everything.
10 of clubs, you're gay.
Yeah, actually, funny story. I actually I had my tarot cards written.
Written? Fucking.
I'm learning a lot.
Yeah.
This is education.
It's an eye opener, isn't it, Alan?
Fuck off. I had my
It's
tarot.
like sticky Vicky but instead of ping pong balls. She's shoving a whole fucking deck up her cunt. And then spit out.
Fuck. I don't like playing with the boys.
Like Bullseye from DC.
Playing with the
Oh!
It started on my cheek.
Can I go off on it? Right. Let's talk about the tarot cards once you are an expert at them.
Yeah, let's do that because I'm not an expert yet, but I am learning.
You'll get
I am
there.
learning
You'll
at the
get
minute.
there. I believe in you.
I
Can
absolutely
I
will
talk
get there.
about spiritualism just for a second, right?
Only if it's in a positive light, otherwise, no, you can fuck off.
Alison, I
Negative
think.
Don't forget to
Light's important
speak up,
too.
Mr. Buddhist over there.
Negative lights are important too.
Then
you
you
know,
are
it's
right.
not all
All right.
about
Oh, can I just say
positivity.
on the point of spiritualism?
You've
Can
got.
I just say,
Uh-huh.
right? We were talking about spiritualism. You seem to think mediums, and you seem to think tarot card readers, and you seem to think all this stuff. That's not what. When I'm talking about becoming, having a spiritual awakening, and becoming spiritual, that's not what I'm all about at all. It's changed me from the way that I think about people, the way that I am towards people, the thoughts that I have, the things that I do, the things that I want to do, the person that I want to be. That was my spiritual awakening.
Okay.
As in, I try not to think negatively anymore. I try not to think. I try not to have the negative thoughts. I try not to have all that stuff.
Can non-spiritual people have that awakening though? How much of that is psychological and like experience and learning
Of
from?
course they can. It's just deciding you want to change your life for the better. It doesn't have to be called a spiritual awakening.
There's some that say Buddha was the first psychologist as
Yeah.
a sort of way of framing
It's
the whole kind of
of being aware of being aware.
yeah.
I-
sort of-
Do you know there are elements of Buddhist teaching that I go along with.
That's because it's all about fucking suffering.
Who's breaking a child for the day?
And then there's going to be roses and oh fuck that. Fuck that. You're going to live your life in suffering. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I'm off for Buddhism. Sign me the fuck up.
This guy says it.
I live in Greensburg voluntarily. Of course I like suffering.
It's true he does. It's true he does.
So do you, but you're escaping to the breeze.
I'm not fucking living here voluntarily. I was forced here. A lot of shit happened on the road to here.
I know it did.
A lot of shit happened.
Now you're going
And now I'm going to the breeze.
You're going from Blade Runner to The Hills Have Eyes. Up into the sticks.
You're not wrong.
Good for you. So, sorry. Yeah, I like that. I like that Buddha's been the first psychologist. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, it's a sort of look into why it is we suffer and whether or not there's a way to end it. And so it says there is, but you have to sort of try. The way to stop suffering is to stop trying to stop suffering.
Because
what
you follow Buddhism and I follow Hermeticism.
Is that people who've got a cock and a vagina?
No, no. There's principles with the Kabbalion and there's principles with Buddhism, and they do kind of run parallel a lot. Some of the sayings in Buddhism are exactly the same in Hermeticism, on a slightly different take. The difference is at the end.
Explain Hermeticism.
Hermeticism is
I didn't know until you described
it. It all goes back to ancient Egypt. It comes down to the emerald, the green emeralds, the emeralds of the emerald tablets of Thoth or Hermes Trismegistus, where they have principles. The first principle being that all is mind, and the universe is mental. In other words, that we're all connected. We are all one consciousness. That we all come from the same seed, and we all. You've seen a load of birds swarming. Mm-hmm. Those birds aren't going. Right, there's one behind, and just gotta keep up with. Gotta catch up with Fred. They think with one mentality. Birds swarm with one mentality, and that's how the human race should be operating. But we're not, because you give human beings things, and then they want to fight over them, or they want to keep them. So we were all living as this one great big marvellous community who all loved each other, and then we got things. Well, here's some gold, here's some fur, here's some fucking having that. Get fucking back! He's trying to take my fucking stuff.
Penguins do that. Penguins fight over who's got the best rock.
Not to the extent that humans do.
Only because they don't have opposable thumbs and fucking arms. They've got
Not
flippers. There's only so much.
But
you can't build a nuclear weapon with flippers.
Ultimately,
anyway,
there are 7 principles.
Give them time.
I'm gonna help them.
I'm watching you, penguins. You evil bastards.
Smile away, boys.
That's a callback to something we were talking about at dinner. That's personal and family related. We can't tell you, but trust us, it's fucking funny.
It's pretty funny.
There are 7 principles. Well, they think that there's 7 because the last tablet's missing. They think it's underneath the Vatican. Stolen by the...
Maybe Nicolas Cage can get it back in
National Treasure. Have a word. You relate to him, and
You said I used to resemble Nicolas Cage.
You used to look like Nick Cage.
I never saw it.
Well, I did. But anyway.
Well,
7 principles that we know of. The first one being that the all is mind and the universe is mental. The second... I can't even remember the second. I know the 7, but I can't remember.
She's an expert.
I can't remember the order that they come in, but
just say the one you can't remember was buried in the Vatican as well.
The principle of polarity, that every positive has a negative. So hot and cold are the same things. They're just different on different scales of polarity. That good and evil are the same thing. They're just on different scales. That all truths are untruths and all untruths are truths.
Have you ever you watched The Sopranos, but maybe not 9 or 10 times like I did, with an encyclopedic knowledge of the whole thing, but there's an episode where, sorry for spoilers, if you've not seen The Sopranos, you're a dick, because you should have watched The Sopranos, so I don't care if I'm spoiling it. In the 6th season, Tony's shot, and he ends up in hospital with a nuclear physicist, or someone who worked at Bell Labs, who is very philosophical, and they've rigged up a box in the satellite so they can watch the boxing in the hotel room, and Tony reveres this guy, and he says things he's like it's an illusion that there's two boxers fighting in the ring, that's an illusion, we're all atoms, it's they're both the same thing, and it's very profound and very philosophical. And it seems like Tony's on the verge of accepting, because at the same time someone pins something on a notice board that says I go about and pity for myself, but all the while a great wind carries me through the skies. And they never reveal who put that there. But Tony sees that and he talks to this guy about his theories of interconnectedness and energy and all being kind of separateness is an illusion, and it's funny, there's a black rapper in at the same time, and he listens to the guy and he goes, everything is everything. Like, it's nice, it's a beautiful scene.
These are the principles of the Kabbalion that you're talking about. No, these are the principles of the Emerald Tablets that you're talking about. And just worded in a different way.
But it's...
So everything is movement.
It's horrible in a way because Tony loves this guy. He's a very cerebral... Like, Tony's got kind of animal, snake-like cunning. He is a clever guy, and his time in therapy shows you that he's greater than the sum of his parts. He is self-aware. He's got walls up and he's got delusions.
He loves
and
Tony Soprano.
No,
it's a really good character.
It's a great character. I wouldn't necessarily like to know him in real life. He would probably have killed me or manipulated me or used me in some way. But anyway, we'll do a full thing about The Sopranos because it is the greatest TV show on earth. But the dude that he reveres so much has inoperable throat cancer, and when he goes to say, when he gets out of hospital, when he survives, he goes to see him, and the guy's like, he's got the thing around his neck, he can't talk anymore. And I think there's a sort of metaphorical significance to that, like Tony was on the brink, he's always on the brink of realising something or making a sort of, going beyond the vino, going beyond the kind of, the roots of where he came from and what he is, like that. It's almost like saying, you were so close and that, you're not getting, like...
We talked about this last night though, didn't we? Meditation, when you meditate and...
You can realise it.
In meditation you get little glimpses of the answers to consciousness and the answers to the universe. And you almost in your mind go, oh God, there it is, don't forget it. And the minute that you think that, it's gone.
Or you think about it, don't forget it. But you don't know what it is, you're not supposed to forget.
And it's a weird thing. It's like we're not supposed to know the answer
but the Sopranos,
to what life is.
The Sopranos, for all it shows life warts and all, and there's no sentimentality in The Sopranos. There are some touching and beautiful moments, but it's almost incidental. Certainly the characters don't provide, it's very true to life and very true to what I imagine these characters to be in real life. But there's no sort of sheen or glossy or, oh, that was nice. It's all largely horrible, but there's lessons within it, and it deals with the heaven and hell and, well, notions of heaven and hell. And it's very, very philosophical. There's a whole episode in the 5th season that is like 75% Tony's dream. Like, as much as it deals with psychoanalysis, it deals with the soul and notions of good and evil and right and wrong, and kind of, it's great. I think you should watch it again. I think we should watch it again.
I'd be up for that because I've not finished it.
I've
managed a good few seasons, but
we'll have to do it.
Someone started watching ahead of me and I lost the place.
I made you watch 7 episodes when you were like 13 or something, because I was like, you need to fucking... I think it was
he used to put you down in front of it and he'd watch you to make sure that you were watching, and if you took your eyes off the screen he'd go, watch it!
Do you know, I think Sopranos to me was like a secular religion, because David Chase, the man that was the showrunner, had, although he didn't write every episode, he had almost godlike control over the direction of the series, and he was making a definite point about human nature and philosophy. And there's a lot in The Sopranos. A lot of people can watch it and think they just watch it for the mafia stuff, and they'll be like, oh, this season was shit, only 3 people got killed. Or the I fast forward past the psychiatrist scenes because it's boring. But they miss the whole point of the show, because it addresses so many themes of religion and philosophy, even though it ultimately falls in a sort of human... If
you understood the members of the family, you understood yourself. There was a little bit of all of us in every one of them, and if you understood every single aspect that they were portraying, then you could understand every little aspect that was in you.
Yes, I come from a very different place from Tony Soprano. Tony Soprano and people like him would eat me alive. Like, I'm not a physical guy, I'm not a fighter, but even still, there was part of Tony Soprano that was like an everyman. and he grappled with the same kind of things that all of us grapple with. There was the beauty of Tony was that you could empathise with him and you could understand him, while at the same time he was alien. If he wasn't presented in a TV show, if you met him in real life, you would either be terrified of him.
There was times that you hated him in that show.
Oh fuck! Of course, of
You'd
course.
think, oh, I didn't expect that from you, you bastard.
Yeah.
And then in the next episode, you were like,
Yeah,
But see-
you're doing that. It's, yeah.
It was
anyway,
so-
we're digressing at the
No, we're not
Sopranos.
digressing, because what I've always thought this. I used to behave towards the Sopranos as if it was a religion, and that David Chase, the man who created it, was a prophet, like divine. And even the finale, the way it ended, we'll not get into this. We'll do a thing about the Sopranos, but it ended on a very ambiguous note, and it still has people debating today, and it's very kind of, people have broke off into sects.
Yeah, it's a cult.
There's
They're-
infighting.
yeah.
So even though I'm not religious, I'm a humanist who's anti-religious. There's something in the Sopranos that I treat. There must be an instinct. There must be something in people that seeks out that level of attachment to something bigger than yourself to try and find answers. I
Yeah.
never found it with
100%,
God.
that's
I never found it with
pretty
Baha'i.
much. What? Not spiritualism, because I hate the word. I wouldn't say I was a spiritualist. I would say my.
You've got a
But
spiritual.
there's a
thought.
word for it. That religion, you don't focus on one particular part of it. It's is it polytheism?
Polytheism is many gods.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I don't. I take tiny little bits from every, apart from Buddhism.
Pick and mix.
Pick and mix, because it all clearly came from somewhere. It all clearly, every single one of them mirrors each other in some way or another. The same as psychology, science. They seem to be mimicking some of the things that were said in ancient times as well. There are little bits that everybody has picked up on. There's clearly something. We all strive to know why. But in my opinion, the reason why was so that we could all be united, not so that we could all fight wars, and that we could all be better people, that we could all ascend and stop the, oh, look at her shoes, look at the way he's dressed, look at the car he's driving, look at what they've got, look at all that shit. Why we can't all just, there's enough powerful people in the world, I think. There should be more love.
I think that's a very good point to end it on. So go to the comments, tell us why I'm right and the other two are wrong.
If you can.
If you can. No.
Prove me wrong.
Do you know what? I've really enjoyed.
And if you want your tarot
Oh,
cards,
it's so comfortable cuddling with your own brother.
Is it?
Fuck off,
if you're
Ben.
interested in the
Fuck
tarot,
off.
if you're interested in the tarot,
Oh, you try to promote your
yeah,
own channel.
no,
It doesn't even exist yet.
I'm joking. No,
You were talking about it though.
I will, but not until I know everything. I'm like you. If I ever get to the stage where I know everything, then I'll impart that on
One day
someone
you'll
else.
be
But
like
right
me.
now, who taught you everything you know? You be shit. Pair of you.
That's
Good
true.
The pair of
That's
you.
true.
The internet taught me everything.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll do a separate thing on midget porn. It's been lovely. I hope you've enjoyed.
It's been
This
wicked.
is Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Instead of like pulling crackers and that.
That's why I'm yawning. I'm full of Chinese food because that's traditional for Christmas.
Yeah, it's the Chinese people's fault again, Alison.
Oh.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
Fucking do.
This has been one of the best Christmases ever.
It has actually.
Yes, and I know
What
they
was
were-
going to be one of the worst Christmases ended up being a really cool Christmas.
It was a cool
Guys.
Christmas, and
Yeah.
all it took was a little thing called speaking into a camera to satisfy our narcissistic impulses.
Not only
And
that.
blackface, of course. So we're off to find the nearest bus shelter, and I'm going to probably cave an old lady's head in.
I'm going to piss in the bus shelter this year just for something
Oh, are
different.
you?
Yeah.
Are you going to perch above it?
Yeah.
What are you going to do, Al?
I was thinking about knocking in some bookies and raiding the safe. to be
I know
honest.
where there's the bookies.
Brill, yeah.
Cool.
You're the most pragmatic of us, Alan.
Thank you.
That's at least we can get something out of
Yeah,
this.
true.
For legal reasons, this is a joke.
Ha 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 ha. Merry Christmas,
Merry
you
Christmas.
fucking cunts.